first official meeting.
Absolutely. And I will call the regular meeting of the Clayton City Council for Tuesday, August 4th to order. And first order of business will be to welcome our interim city manager, Fran Robustelli, and to her first official meeting. And we are looking forward to many more. Janet, would you please call the roll, please?
Absolutely, Mayor Pierce. Councilmember Catalano?
Aye, here.
Councilmember Diaz?
Present.
Councilmember Wolf?
Yes, I'm here.
Vice Mayor Juan?
Hello.
Hi. And Mayor Pierce?
Here.
Thank
All right.
you.
We are holding this meeting via Zoom. And so just some notes for our public and our attendees. We do have, looks like 13 attendees on the line right now in the meeting with us. And so we will call on you for public comment for each item, at which time you will raise your hand using the Zoom raise hand feature. If you are calling in, I see there is one caller with a phone line, you would hit *9 to raise your hand, and then we will call on you in the order that you check in and raise your hand, and we will allow you 3 minutes for public comment. We will unmute your phone, and I will tell you when you have been unmuted, because sometimes that's a little questionable. So we will do that for every item on tonight's agenda. And all of our votes will be a roll call vote per the Brown Act. The first or next order of business on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Councilmember Diaz, would you please say the Pledge of Allegiance for the...
I am ready to do that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Wonderful.
Can he sing it this time?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. The next item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Are there any items that any member of the council wishes to pull from the consent calendar for separate discussion? Or a motion?
Move approval.
Move. Second.
A motion by Diaz, a second by Juan. Janet, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Catalano?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Wolf?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan?
Aye.
And Mayor Pierce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is recognitions and presentations. We have none of those this evening on our agenda. And then we go to reports. There was no Planning Commission meeting nor any Trails and Landscape Committee meeting yet. So I will turn to our interim city manager for the city manager and staff report, please, Fran. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I just have two brief updates that are actually both COVID related. We have unfortunately had some large crowds gathering at the Clayton Community Park for softball tournaments, and they have actually been identified as out of town. Softball leagues that are have been attending in not only Clayton Community Park, but other community parks around the region. So we have locked the upper gates to discourage the large gatherings. The residents can still have access through the lower gates, so there's still availability to get there, but we're trying to discourage the large gatherings. So I wanted to let you know and the public know that that's happening. And then some good news on the CARES Act funding. The city of Clayton was allocated about $139,000 to help with COVID-related expenses. And we received our first allocation this week of $23,000. So we are working with finance to make sure that that money is distributed and allocated for COVID-related expenses that we are incurring right now. And that is all I have right now.
All right. Any questions of the city manager? Seeing none, we will go to city council reports. Vice Mayor Juan.
Mostly just emailing and on the phone with various folks around town. So, very brief report.
Okay. Tuya?
It's been actually pretty busy couple of weeks. So I had a number of meetings and discussions regarding the Public Safety Committee, and we will be having our first meeting tomorrow night at 6:30. So there is a Zoom link that staff put out that's available on our website, and we will have our first meeting. So it will be myself, Councilmember Wolf, our interim city manager, and our chief of police that will be attending that meeting. So we definitely welcome any members of the public to join for the first committee meeting. And then not as a council member, but as a member of the community, have had a lot of meetings and coordination regarding the race relations webinar series. So the next one in that is happening this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. and you can find the info on that online as well. There's a Facebook invitation out there that people can register for the webinar and join for the conversation. And the topic focuses this time on education. So a great topic and very relevant topic. And that's it.
Okay. Jim?
Yes, only two things. One, I continue to provide advisory information to the Morgan first responders, and that's moving along. They're going to be incorporated. And by the way, just so everybody understands that doing this on a advisory basis, because with the potential being, first of all, in a fire season, that if they do not get proper response, Clayton could be ultimately impacted by that on a negative basis. So we're trying to help them out as best we can to make sure that that doesn't happen. The other thing, I met with the interim city manager today and one time before that, so that's moving along very well. That's all I have.
Very good. CW?
I have met a couple of times with our new interim city manager, and then the rest of my report is exactly the same as Tuya's. Exactly word for word. Janet, word for word.
Good thing we're in summary minutes. Okay. This has actually been a couple of pretty light weeks for me as well. I had a meeting of the ABAG MTC governance committee looking at how we can merge some of our active committees, particularly our legislative committee for the Association of Bay Area Governments and Metropolitan Transportation Commission, since we work so closely together. And we've got a process now where the boards will still take separate votes, but the committees meet entirely together. And that seems to be working out well. We've been doing it for about 2 years now, so that's a good thing. Have attended many of those extracurricular race relations meetings, and I would echo Tuya's comment. There are links on Facebook to those, but there are also links to the YouTube video that I can send to someone who is not on Facebook and would like that active link to the Zoom or to the YouTube broadcast. So with that, that concludes our reports, and we will go to public comment. This is the time in our agenda when anyone in our audience can speak to any item not on tonight's agenda. If you'd like to speak, please use the Zoom raise hand feature or hit *9 if you're on the phone. So do we have anyone? I don't see anyone yet raising their hand to speak under public comment. Okay, there's Scott Denslow. Can we please unmute Scott? No, his hand disappeared.
Hear me?
Yes, there you are, Scott. Thank you.
Hey, Julie, thanks so much, and everybody, thanks so much for your time. So you guys have heard me talk about this theme a couple of times recently. It's not
Can you speak up a little? It's hard to hear you.
I'm sorry, is this a little better?
That's much better, thank you.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, you've heard me talk about the Do the Right Thing campaign a little bit in recent meetings, and how, you know, it really touches me when I drive into town and I see things like integrity and courage and honesty, responsibility. It just makes me think that, you know, if I were a stranger here, those would be the values that the town actually had. And it would make me feel wonderful coming into town, honestly. I'd be like, oh, let's check this little place out. So it bothers me when, you know, I see things that kind of run contrary to that. As you know, I've spoken on this a little bit. And what I don't see on that sign is I don't see anything about people advocating for firearms use or putting signs in your business telling people that warning shots may not be fired if you're to bother him. I don't see anything about that on our values. And so it bothers me when I see these behaviors continue to go on. And, you know, we're in this town where all of this kind of came here to get away from it all, right? That's what we all say. And look at what this guy has brought to town. He's brought national news, negative coverage, the notion that our town is racist when we all know that it's not. Yet we give this guy chance after chance after chance, and he fails and he fails and he fails again and again and again. And so I understand his sign is coming down because we had to talk to his landlord, not we, but his landlord had a talking to today. And so his sign's coming down. But how many more chances do we need to give this guy? So honestly, I know the city can't do anything about this. Honestly, Kent, I don't know if you're listening. Ken Ibsen, the guy rents your building, okay? You're his landlord. This message is going out to you. My wife and I, we've worked with you. We've worked with you on charitable stuff. I know that you love Clayton. I know that you have a good heart, and we freaking love your pizza, dude. So, you know, I want you to have a little conversation with your heart at some point and ask yourself about what your tenant is bringing to this town, because what he is bringing to this town does not seem to mesh with the value.
Okay, that was the 3 minutes, I believe. So thank you, Scott, for your comments. I do not see any other hands raised. Yes, I do. Nancy Top, who will be followed by Samantha Sexton. Nancy?
Am I,
Yep,
can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. What Scott's referring to is there's a sign on the Canessa's restaurant downtown which says ammo is expensive. Do not expect a warning shot. I consider this sign extremely threatening, and I regularly use downtown Clayton for shopping and post office box services. I don't feel safe being anywhere near a restaurant that has posted this kind of a sign because it is just inviting danger into our town. I would really like the city council, the police, whoever's responsible in Clayton to protect us and to keep this harassment from happening to the people of Clayton. I appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. The next speaker is Samantha Sexton. And after Samantha, I do not see any more hands raised. Samantha, you're live.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to hear me out today. I wanted to thank the City Council for adopting the resolution condemning racism in the town of Clayton. However, I wanted to ask if there was a more public way to advertise this. You know, the only people that really know about it are the people who come to the City Council meetings and listen in. And I was hoping there would be a way to, you know, post it more publicly on the website in a more prominent location, you know, put up a banner just like we have all the other banners up, and, you know, the town entrance, something to make it more public, because a lot of the members of Clayton, a lot of the residents of Clayton aren't getting the message, and they're acting in a way that, shows that. I mean, personally, I had a wine bottle broken in my front yard for the first time since we moved here 8 years ago. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I have a Black Lives Matter sign up in my yard. And, I'm a white person. And if that happened to me, I can't imagine what might be happening to, the people of color that live here in Clayton. So I would ask that the city council come up with a way to be more public, more vocal about condemning racism. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Samantha. We do have another speaker, Helena Seta. We'll get you unmuted here.
Okay,
Hello,
can you hear me?
you're live now. Thank you.
Okay, hi. I am actually calling in and observing and kind of taking notes. I have family in Clayton. It's my home away from home. I live in Huntington Beach now, and I'm having very similar issues with race relations. And there's really nothing being done here, and I'm getting involved with city council here. And I would like to, I thought that, the issues in Clayton were being addressed, and it sounds like things just keep on getting worse. I actually share the things that happen in Clayton in my community forum because similar things are happening, and it's happening all over the country, and nothing's being done about it. There's there should be no tolerance for it, and that should be clear and very known. So things like Canessas cannot happen anymore. I refuse to ever dine there when I come home. I am a person of color, and it worries me that my family is not going to be safe there, especially since this next thing has happened. So I will continue attending, and hopefully you guys come up with something and I can take that home so that I too can make some change as far as these race relations are concerned. So thank you very much for listening to me. I want to see what you guys come up with.
Thank you, Helena. The next speaker is Melinda Marion. You're live, Melinda.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm just going to piggyback on what all of the other speakers have said. You guys have heard from me plenty of times. It's the same topic. And basically, I just want to feel safe in this community. And I feel like there's been so many events that have made me feel not safe. And today I saw that Canessas sign, and, to be honest with you, as a person of color, walking past that business, it makes me nervous. Even if I wanted one of their sandwiches, I would not feel comfortable walking up to that building. And I just don't think that's, really fair as a resident to have that feeling. So, once again, I am going to ask you all as leaders of our town to show some sort of public action, a statement. We've had opportunities where our leaders have had the opportunity to make a statement that Clayton does not tolerate racism. The resolution is great, but the greater public does not see that resolution. I think, it would be wonderful if you all set the tone so that we all can feel safe and that Clayton can be seen as a welcoming community. I mentioned the last time that I spoke at the city council meeting that I traveled to other cities, and some cities had commissioned artists to do art displays of unity and inclusion. I don't have the answers, but I would love to see you all use your leadership to represent us all and help us to feel safe in our own community. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. I do not see any other raised hands. Give you a second. I think you would have been in line by now. So seeing no other raised hands, I will close the public comment period. Thank you all for your comments. You have definitely been heard. And we will talk about those suggestions at another meeting. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, and that is to consider adopting the ordinance number 490, amending chapter 15.09 of the Clayton Municipal Code and adopting by reference the 2019 California Fire Code with changes, additions, and deletions. And we have a report from our Community Development Director, Matthew Fesk. Matthew?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council. The item before you tonight, you've already done the introduction for and set this as the public hearing date for Ordinance 490, which is essentially to adopt the 2019 Fire Code with all the amendments for the local jurisdiction. And one of the items that I wanted to bring forward out of this code adoption is the weed abatement enforcement actions that can be taken now. The Fire Protection District is the authority that would receive the complaints and act upon weed abatement complaints and take further actions from there. This further enhances their ability to make sure those actions take place. With that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Okay, any questions by members of the council?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, Matthew, weed abatement, does that also apply to the Oakhurst Country Club?
Yes, weed abatement is very broad this time. It's for private and public properties. So the city can actually, if it's in the public right of way, call the fire prevention authorities and have them abate it if we didn't want to. I would assume that the city would take our own action on it. But if it's private property, they can certainly notify and enforce weed abatement.
Okay, because the reason why I ask, it has come up before since my involvement with the Contra Costa Fire District. One of their directors, who's a resident here in Clayton, there's an area that he has brought up on several occasions, and basically it's up where the country club comes in contact with private property, the public space that you use to get from the residential area onto the golf course. And there's and I can talk to you offline about this, but there's a significant amount of weeds that seem to be growing in there and lacking any attention to them. I know it's been brought up to the management at least once or twice, so we need to follow up on that.
I'd be happy to follow up with you on that, right, Councilperson.
Okay, any other questions from the council members? If not, we will open the public hearing and ask any members of our audience if they wish to comment on this item. Please raise your hand or hit *9. Any members of the public who wish to speak on the update to the fire code? Please raise your hand or hit *9. I'm seeing no one raise their hand, so we will close the public hearing and come back to the council. The action tonight is to adopt the ordinance.
I will move adoption.
Second.
And a second by Mayor or Vice Mayor Juan. Okay. Is there any other comment or discussion? If not, Janet, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Councilmember Catalano?
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Wolf,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Juan,
Aye.
and Mayor Pierce.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is action items. We have none. And the following item is council items limited to requests and directives for future meetings. Do we have requests for future agenda items? CW?
Yeah, this goes along with a lot of the public comment tonight, but I've been thinking a lot about this. And with regard to our race relations in Clayton, I think that our young people are probably the backbone and the up and comers of how this is going to go from now on. And I know Tuya and I are on the Do the Right Thing committee. And so what I'm going to ask for is that we have a discussion about adding to the values of the Do the Right Thing banner, or the Do the Right Thing mantra, so that we have an additional value, be it diversity, inclusion, something like that, to say that the city of Clayton has the back of the people that need to be included, whatever that may be. So that's what I'm going to ask for as a future agenda item.
That sounds like a great idea. Can have a good discussion on that, I am sure. And any other items from anyone else? I will just make a brief comment that if anyone goes to the Clayton Pioneer, they will find that there is an extensive column talking about how the community and the council are dealing with the subject of racism. So it's an ongoing discussion and will continue to be. I will ask if we can have city staff please put the resolution that we adopted on the city's website. I just checked the website and I did not find it, but if we can post that, that would be helpful. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the agenda for the council meeting portion of the meeting. We have no closed session, so we will adjourn to our next regular meeting, which is on August 18th, and I will hand the symbolic gavel to Vice Mayor Juan, who serves as the chair of the Geological Hazard Abatement District. Jeff, it's all yours.
Excellent. I'd like to call to order the August 4th meeting of the Oakhurst Geological Hazard Abatement District. Please let the record show that all members are present. The first item on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to make public comment on any non-agenda item, please raise your hand.
Don't see anybody there, Jeff.
All right. Yep. I'm looking at I have the attendee list on the different screen over here.
Good.
I don't see any indication for public comment, so I will close public comment. We have one item on the consent calendar. It's to approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
Move approval.
Second. All right. Have a motion from Member Catalano and a second from Member Pierce. I'm just going eeny-meeny on that one. Janet, will you please take the roll? Or take the vote, roll call vote?
Absolutely. Member Connell?
Aye.
Board Member Pierce?
Yes.
Board Member Wolf?
You bet.
Vice Chair Diaz?
Yes.
And Chair Juan?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. The consent calendar passes unanimously. And we have one item for a public hearing. This is the continued notice of public hearing to consider the Geological Hazard Abatement District proposed real property tax assessment for the fiscal year ending 2021. We have a presentation, I believe, from our city engineer, Scott Allman. See on?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to share screen here.
Oh, good.
So tonight we're going to ask that you hold a public hearing and that you then can take the testimony from anyone who wishes to give it, and then consider the adoption of a resolution ordering the improvements and confirming real property assessments for fiscal year 2021. That would be GAD resolution number 2-2020. So I just wanted to do a quick presentation if I could. And I know the board is very familiar with what a GAD is, but maybe some of the folks in the audience are not. So I thought I might just give a quick background on that. So a GAD is an independent state-level public agency that oversees geologic hazard prevention, mitigation, abatement, and control. It's different than a city. It's its own special district. It has the authority to do many things: purchase property, levy assessments. So it is very much a special district. So next question is, how's it formed? Well, there's two options, two ways to do it. You can either have a petition signed by the owners of 10%, no less than 10% of the real property that's included within the district, or you can do it by resolution of the legislative body, which in this case would have been City Council. So Oakhurst was initially formed by the developer, Presley of Northern California, or it was done at their behest, their request. The plan of control is a planning document for the district, and that initial plan of control was prepared for Presley of Northern California by a firm of Hollenbeck and Associates that are fairly well-known geotechnical consultants in conversation with Little and Saputo. And they did that. The document was dated November 7th, 1988. So it's an old document, and the district began long ago. I don't know. But again, during the April of 2000, the district voted on resolution 2000-4, which set, determined the lack of a majority protest, and then it ordered improvements, confirmed the assessments for that fiscal year 1999-2000, just the same as we're doing tonight. But what I wanted to show was that the report from the clerk of the vote, yes votes 5437.63, and literally they voted in dollars and cents. I don't know why, unless they were able to vote down to the hundredth of a vote. And no votes were 4664.97. So it definitely passed, and it was definitely voted in by the property owners. After that report, the public hearing was held, and there was no public comment at the hearings. The hearing was closed, and the action was taken. This is just a quick map of our district. It's all of the Oakhurst areas. The yellow is single-family homes. The light orange are multifamily homes, and the red are the duets. And I say that because they're each assigned a different amount of risk and a different assessment, and we'll go into that in just a second here. So just for this year, the annual consumer price index is the adjusting index that we use. It's voted into the original 2000 assessment resolution that was passed. It's April to April, and for this year it's at 1.1%, a positive 1.1%. So we're starting the year with a beginning balance of $53,633, and that is because we've been saving up. I've been trying to accrue funds, save funds to be able to do a couple of projects that we need to get accomplished but are fairly expensive, and so we haven't been able to do them with the annual assessment. We needed to save up money. So this year's assessment, $43,250, and I believe, I can't remember for sure if I can do this off the top of my head, but at 1.1%, it's less than $1,000, I believe, more than last year. So the increase is minimal. You pair that up with an interest income that we earned of approximately $200, and we have a total annual budget this year of $97,083. And here's what that budget is made up with, and I'll draw your attention to the next to the last bullet, project costs, where we budgeted and have accrued $63,193 towards repair of a couple of items. The first repair is a street repair at Miwok, and then depending on the severity of it, if there is funding left over and if it's adequate, we would install a new slope inclinometer at Key Lock Way. If not, then we'll restart the savings process again until we can bring the funds up to do that. So that voter approved ballot measure that I was mentioning, I know the chairman wanted to ask a little bit about just sort of the background of this. So the district is divided into 3 areas, and they're named assessment areas because each one of them is assigned a percentage of the total budget of the district. Their areas 1 is what's called the lower 6,000s, the lower 5,000s, duets, townhouses, and that carries 25% of the total budget. I can show you the names of the tracks and the track numbers in a moment. Area 2, upper 6,000s, upper 5,000s, 8,000s condos, and that whole carries 50% of the total budget. And then Area 3, which is Peacock Creek, carries the other 25% of the total budget. So it's also assigned factors based on what's called category of benefit, which is the type of home. So a single family home is assigned a factor of 1. Duet units are assigned a factor of 3/4, and multifamily units are assigned a factor of 1/2, based on the size of the unit and a level of risk. So here I've got a sort of a spreadsheet that just talks about the different areas. If you live in area of benefit number 1 and there's 25% of the total budget, these are the tracts that are included in there. These are the types of homes that are included in each of those tracts by tract, and also the assessment amount for each unit, for each home. So if it's a single family home and you live in Windmill Canyon 1, your assessment is $2,382, and so on. And so then area of benefit 2 is Eagle Peak and Windmill Canyon and Oak Hollow, and area of benefit 3, which is Peacock Creek. So what does the Oakhurst GAD provide? Well, it protects the public improvements that support residents' quiet enjoyment of their homes, the public infrastructure, the streets, the utilities, that sort of, those things that support your ability to live at your home. It does not act as an insurance policy. That is not the function of the district. And the public improvements that it includes are curbs and gutters, sidewalks, storm drain infrastructure, slopes, slope stability analysis, equipment that we've installed. And there is a fair amount of it. I'm sorry, I lost my screen share. Get back to it. Here we go. So the last item is adopt recommended action, where I would ask you to hold the public hearing and take testimony, close the public hearing, and then based on that testimony and the report tonight, consider adopting this GAD resolution number 0220. So ordering the improvements, confirming the real property assessments for this fiscal year 2021. And I'll be happy to answer questions if there are.
I have a question when we come back.
Yes.
So first of all, for the benefit of the public, I really appreciate the background. Yes, the jihad has been in place for now 2 decades, but I think it's helpful to have just a paragraph or two just to talk a little bit about the history for the benefit of the public. So that's great. But then, so you mentioned in your report that there have been some expenses that you have been, putting off a little bit in order to accrue the funds to be able to pay for them. And I noticed in the staff report that I think there's still 2 different things. There was a replacement of couple or 2 inclinometers that can't be done now. Is there anything, so I guess those will have to wait until next time when there's enough funds that have been accrued. But is there anything else that you see in terms of a future expense or future things that, it could be sort of on that list of waiting for funds?
Yeah, there's actually a 4th item, which is Keylock, the cul-de-sac at Keylock Way. It's going to need repair, and that could be fairly involved and pretty expensive because it's going to involve some geotechnical repair. And honestly, at this point, I don't know to what degree it would require geotechnical repair, because we would have to start with an investigation to determine how deep-seated that issue is, and then how to not just patch it, but to do our best to be able to find a solution to it so that it doesn't reoccur. Now, it's a landslide, it's earth movement.
But it's stabilized at this moment, so it's not a hazard condition?
It's not a hazard condition. It is still moving, though, and there is evidence of movement, but it's not dangerous at this point. But it does definitely need to be on our list to deal with, but it's going to be an expensive endeavor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, I'll open up public comment. If there's anyone that wishes to comment on this item, feel free to raise your hand. I see one comment from Kim Newman. If we could put them on. All right, Kim, you are on. Kind of. You went back on mute. You were on for a second. Can we unmute Kim? There we go.
I just had one question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you now.
So the question is about the amounts per each dwelling unit. Is that, are we looking at a tax assessment? What's the, I'm trying to understand what's the point of each of those individual amounts.
Did you want to?
Yeah, it's definitely an assessment, and in an assessment situation where you're working in a special district, you have to be able to assign benefit. So not every structure would receive the same benefit, and not every location in the district would receive the same benefit of coverage. So when they originally recorded or originally did the assessment spread, they spread it over the 3 different districts because they felt that there were 3 different areas of risk, and those related to 3 different areas of benefit, and also the different sizes of the homes or different types of the homes, single family, duet, or multifamily, also had different areas or different amounts of risk, and that translated into each into a different level of benefit that they would see. So that's the reasoning. A special district requires you to assign or to calculate the benefit that each of the participants will receive or does receive, and then they pay based their share based on what that benefit is.
Thank you.
I think to clarify just a little bit, your question was, is that a tax that, and it will show up on the property tax bill of those parcels.
Chair Juan, if I
Yes.
could clarify for the record, I think when you said you were opening public comment, I think you meant you were opening the public hearing to receive public comment.
That's what I heard him say.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said, right?
Yeah, it was. Can I add just a little bit to that clarification? When we set this district up in collaboration with Presley Homes back in 1988, the assessments were all set at that time. Over the years, we've tried to raise it to pay for some of the repairs that were needed. And the last time that we went out was back in 2000. And what we accomplished at that time was to set the rate and to establish a cost of living index on the assessment. That still has to be ratified every year by the council or by the board of directors in this case. And so what we are actually doing today is raising that existing assessment by just 1.1%. according to the cost of living. So it's an assessment that's already on the tax roll. It's not an increase of that amount. It is an increase of 1.1% to the amount you're already paying.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, historically, I think the last time it went out for a potential increase, if I recall, it did not pass. And so the amount levied on each of the applicable parcels is enough to cover the operating budget, as Scott went over. It covers mostly monitoring and some light maintenance. We have to accrue, or we have to earmark for many years to do any significant project work. So it really is primarily for monitoring and the maintenance of ongoing activity. Okay. I see one more hand raised. Nancy, if we could let Nancy top on. She disappeared. Oh, no, there she is. Okay. If we could get Nancy unmuted.
Okay,
there we go. Yep.
So I was just curious about the general manager. Is that $10,000 a year?
The figures that you saw for the budget were annual.
And who's
Yeah.
the manager?
I am the general manager, and I'm a consultant to the city and to the district. So I'm not a city employee, so I'm not paid through a general fund. So there is a limited number of hours that I'm assigned as the general manager of the district, and that I believe it's $5,000. I think is my budget line item. There's also a geotechnical engineer that we rely heavily on, which is Berlager Stevens, and I think the $10,000 line item is the special engineering, which is the Berlager's line item. They do the lion's share and the heavy lifting for us on the reviews and evaluations of the field and reading of the inclinometers and that sort of thing. So the line item for the general manager is for me.
Okay. And is that financial information provided to the homeowners in a written format?
Yes, the budget report, the annual budget report is available to you, and it contains that. So that's available on the website, on the GAD webpage of the city's website, and it contains that information.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
It will have both the current year as well as historical year information if you wanted to look back at some of the prior.
Just for historical reasons, when we bought our homes, and Presley did imply that this was an insurance, that we were all protected from our slopes falling down the hill. So I'm sad to see that so little money is in the account that, that it has to be spent in however way it is. But I'm in favor of increasing the amount someday and making sure that we do have the protection that we asked for, since the slopes in Clayton are not very solid. And that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, I was in on the very front of this, and it mattered a lot to me in the purchase of my home, since I have a house that is on a slope and likely to go someday. So it's a selling point on my house also. So keep it up. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I do not see any other hands raised for comments. So I will close public comments and bring it back to our members. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share, or we are looking for a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Janet, will you please take the roll vote?
Absolutely. Board Member Catalano?
Aye.
Board Member Pierce?
Yes.
Board Member Wolf?
Aye.
Vice Chair Diaz?
Aye, yes.
And Chair Juan?
Aye.
Thank you.
That passes unanimously. There are no other public hearings. There are no action items, so we move to board items, which is limited to requests for future meetings. Do I have any board items from our members? Being none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.